We're gonna talk about salt. Salt water. Why would you want to salt things? Why would you even want to salt your water? Why does salt even exist in the human life? Why do we even have it? Why not just throw it all out? I mean, it's unhealthy, right? Salt just throw it out. Unhealthy. Just get rid of it. It's unhealthy. Why would you need to? You don't need it, right? It's bad for your heart. It's bad for your throat. It's bad for your eyes. I mean, salt raises your blood pressure. It's in fast food. It's just bad for you, right? Right. Salt, man. Salt.
Fudging.
Salt. Just freaking salt. Salt. You got sea salt. You got Himalayan salt. Iodized salt. Morton sea salt. Salt with additives. Plain salt. Kosher salt. There's salt everywhere. I got salt in my... The thing is, man, we do need salt, right? You know that. To do this, I need salt. Have you ever been dehydrated? I have. You go for a while, maybe you're doing a fast, okay? Or maybe you're going for a long run. You do it for a long time, and you shouldn't really do it, and you didn't drink enough water. But maybe you did drink enough water, but you can still get dehydrated. How does that work? Well, oftentimes it's because you need salt. I want you to ask yourself a question. Ask yourself, did you salt your foods growing up? Was that just a thing? Because it wasn't a thing for me. And I think there's a small amount of people who think salting foods is unhealthy. You think that when you salt foods, it's just gonna give you a heart attack. Well, let me tell you, it's not. All right, you can salt your foods because I'm pretty sure, like, there's no studies showing that salting your food and having a good amount of salt in your diet increases a risk of anything. I think the only studies that are out there are when you have a condition like heart disease, then you might want to restrict the salt. You might want to cut it back because it can increase your risk for strokes and things like that because your blood pressure is increased, and we've correlated increased blood pressure to these issues. But it's not that salt directly causes it, is that salt can raise the blood pressure, and if you're unhealthy, bada bing, bada boom. Basically, I'm trying to sell you salt. I'm trying to sell it back to you because if you've been restricting salt your whole life, or you live in a family where they thought salt was bad, well, stop that. I think in my family, salt was kind of demonized because I had a grandfather who had heart problems, and he died, in his 60s or 50s of heart conditions, of heart disease, of various sorts. I'm not sure the details. And I'm sure at that point, everyone in the family started doing everything they could to increase the risks of having a healthy heart, reducing the salt, reducing the saturated fats, whatever the FDA was recommending at the time. But it's tough, man. It's tough because the FDA changes their crap all the time. The Heart Association changes their crap. Eggs are bad, eggs are good, saturated fat's bad. My number one recommendation for salt is that trust your own body. Trust your intuition. No, don't even trust your intuition. Trust your fucking tongue, okay? If you have something salty and it tastes like crap, that's too much salt. You don't need it. But if you are craving something salty, then you need it. Your body is a beautiful, complex, intelligent infrastructure and organism, and not just a machine, but a living, breathing, feeling thing where you can tap into information that, I don't know, a machine can't, right? I mean, we don't even understand how much information is available to the subconscious mind, okay? It's a vast world inside the mind of a human, almost more complicated than the world outside the side of a human, outside of the mind, okay? Because salt is an electrolyte and it dissolves in water, and you self-regulate all the time. If you're feeling thirsty, maybe you have a little too much salt in here and you need to dilute it. Then you dilute it, you take a pee, there goes the excess salt. maybe you've been drinking a lot of water, right? You're drinking it and you're just pissing it all out right away. You're like, why am I pissing out all this water? Well, probably because you don't have the salt to retain the water. So you're pissing it all out and it's not actually getting into the body and the organs. So you have a little salty thing. Maybe you put a little salt in your water like I do. You sip it and then you go, wow, I feel amazing. I feel fantastic. I have so much energy. Because there's salt in me now, baby, and that's electricity, okay? Freaking electrolytes, baby, conductive in water. Well, pow, pow, pow. Okay, here's my next explanation of why salt is good. Humans are sacks of water. There's like a creature in the sea, lizard man, okay? He came out, slopped onto the land, he's like, I'm breathing air now. And he started breathing air, all right? Okay, so in order to get out of the water, you gotta bring the water with you, because all life requires water. All life requires salt water. Every single living creature that probably moves, and probably every mammal, has salt water in their blood. It's a saline solution. When you go to the doctor with dehydration or when they give you an IV, they do not give you straight plain water. They give you a saline solution because you're salt water inside. It's to some degree. Like it's just salt water, bro. That's it. That's all I can say. Along with a bunch of other things like potassium and magnesium and calcium and stuff. But salt, it's really the kind of the key here. This is what the video's about, all right? We're talking about salt. Life had to develop a sac, like our skin and our blood and stuff, a sac to hold the water, the salt water, to take it out with us so we can live on land. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to live on land. Like the Roman Empire was positioned strategically around salt mines because salt was so important for the survival and the kind of vibrancy and vitality of an empire. Let me just teach you what I do to know if I need salt, all right? So have you ever had a glass of water? You were like really dry in the morning, right? Your mouth is dry, your eyes are dry, you're like, you got morning breath, right? You go to the faucet, you get some filtered water. You drink the water, you're drinking it, right? I'm drinking the water, I'm fucking drinking it. It's not tasting good, it's not satisfying. It's like, I know I'm gonna be pissing this water out in a minute or two, and I'm gonna still feel kind of dry. Well, to me, that's a sign that I need salt. And to you decide for yourself. I don't care what the fuck you do, okay? The reason it is that way, I've hypothesized, is because you need the salt to create that osmotic imbalance to absorb water. Your body just simply needs salt to hold and absorb water. So what I'll do is I'll take a teaspoon of salt and put it in a big thing of water like this, okay? And I'll sip it. And it'll be funny because it'll be very satisfying. I'll be craving it. It'll be like, wow, this water, the salt water is like a nice bowl of soup. It's really nice to drink down. And I'll sip it and I'll stop immediately when I don't like it anymore. And that's when I know, and you gotta sip slowly so your body has time to adjust, but you know, over the course of 10 to 15 minutes, you sip it, and then all of a sudden you don't like it anymore. Then pour yourself a glass of water. You'll already be slightly hydrated from the water in the salt water, but pour yourself a glass of plain water and try it again. And you will likely find, I find, the water's freaking amazing. You're like, oh, this is amazing. It's what? Like, what? Water? I love water. But seriously, if you're not loving water, like if you're not like, oh my God, water, every time you drink water, you likely need some sort of electrolyte, and it's possibly salt. Having too low salt can be also harmful for your heart health because you need the electrolytes to have proper heart function, to have proper communication in the nerves and stuff, I think. I don't know if that's true, okay. And salt is really important for digestion, okay? I'm all about digestion, I told you that. I'm all about freaking digestion. I just realized I could go all the way back here and you can still hear me. That's pretty. I think there's some studies showing it's pretty safe to have like 3,000 to 4,000 milligrams of, okay, I don't know, milligrams of sodium, or is it milligrams of salt? Because if you're talking milligrams of sodium, that's different than milligrams of salt, because sodium is sodium and salt is sodium chloride. We'll just talk in teaspoons. Most of the RDA, FDA, whatever, they say like 1 teaspoon of salt a day. That's around kind of what they recommend. So I'd say start asking yourself if you're even getting that. Because I personally wasn't for a lot of my childhood and a lot of my adulthood. And it played a huge role in me having better health. Because, you know, you have all these other things that correlate to good health, like healthy eating. But if you're not getting, you know, enough salt, like if you're really not, like seriously, that's gonna cause a big hindrance in the system. That's gonna be a really tight bottleneck. You know, if you're building your computer and you're putting in an i5 when you really should be putting in, you know, an M1, you're gonna have a bit of a bottleneck there. If you're putting in an M1 and you're putting in old hard drives and not SSDs, well, you're gonna have a bit of a bottleneck there, okay? If you're eating healthy but you're not having enough salt, you got a little bit of a bottleneck, right? Okay, just a bottleneck. Look at that. There's barely even a bottleneck there. That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of bottle. All right, my card's full. Have some salt, all right? Just make sure you're having enough, because, you know, I didn't have enough for a long time, and it really put a hindrance in things in my health. So also, it makes things taste good. Just have some fun with life. Eat some good tasting food. Start cooking. Put a little salt in your food, all right? Put too much. Fuck me. Talking about salt, man.
There you go.